So today we're going to talk about unpopular opinions. So OC has an unpopular opinion, I believe. I don't know. I'm just assuming.
Hello, everyone. So I'm OC. My unpopular opinion is that season 8 of Game of Thrones is great.
No, I thought we were doing.
that was
Wait. Season 8 of
Okay.
Game of Thrones is a great season of television.
Let's talk about
All
this.
right,
Let's
let's
get
do it,
into
let's
this
do it.
because
Let's go.
we
Yeah.
have
He
to
pulled
now
the surprise
show you
on us.
why you're
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah, prove to me why I'm wrong. No, okay. So honestly, a lot of the complaints about season 8 of Game of Thrones, the only complaint that I have that I feel is legitimate is that it moved too fast. Otherwise, I don't have a problem with anything specifically that happened. Maybe
So you're okay with Bran taking the throne?
I was literally about to say that. That might be the only thing, but I think it makes sense to me. I get it a little bit. I
No,
wouldn't
you
have
just admitted
chosen
that it sucked. You were like, that was the only thing.
But everything
it was
else,
a big thing.
Sure, it was a big
Not
thing.
only
But
that,
it was
there
a-
was a bunch of other big
But it was
things.
a big thing in the last 10 minutes of the last episode of the season. Okay, the rest of the season, I thought was fine.
Yeah, but I do feel like that last episode was when you give Bran the crown in the very last episode, it's almost a way for people to not have to like react to it like longer.
You know when
It's not satisfying either.
Exactly.
I wasn't satisfied with the ending or any of the episodes that season.
when Bran was like,
Ooh.
"Why do you think I was here?" And I'm like, "Are you serious? You became the
Ow.
three-eyed raven
Yeah,
and all of that whole journey just to become king."
yeah.
was like,
I don't
I can't do
necessarily
it.
You let
disagree with any
Rhaegar
of
die.
I know.
He was like, I can't do anything. I'm the three-eyed raven.
I
He's
don't
like, just
necessarily-
kidding. I'll be king.
that. I don't necessarily disagree with any of that as far as Bran is concerned.
Okay.
But there's literally
Bran.
like a whole bunch of other episodes that happen that
Let
everyone
me
seems
counter
to
your unpopular
hate
opinion.
on. And I think it was great.
I'm gonna counter your unpopular opinion with another unpopular opinion for this season, which is that episode 2, which a lot of people gave the best reviews of all the episodes that season, was like the worst episode by far of all of Game of
Interesting.
Thrones. Was the one where they
Really?
were just
they were
Prepping.
building
preparing.
up.
they were in
Yeah.
Winterfell. No, fuck that episode.
Yeah.
Wait, was it the one
I get-
where John rode the dragon?
It was
Yeah.
No,
n-
wait,
no,
really?
think
it was.
so.
Here's what it was.
Was it?
It was a
No.
character
Was it?
study. This is the
It's
one
one
where
or two.
everyone's preparing
Yeah, everyone's
Yeah.
preparing
to
for
go
the.
to battle, and everyone's
that was
like,
a great episode.
no, they're not. They're chilling, and they're so out of character. Like everything that they do in that episode.
I remember.
is
You're mad
in-
because Arya
No.
had sex.
No,
It wasn't even that episode. It wasn't
Okay.
that episode. But I was
see, you're
mad.
mad about that.
no, I was, but that's fine. I mean, if you're a fan of it, fine. But
No, he's not.
Everything.
No, he hates it.
He hates
Okay,
that.
cool. That's another thing. But it's like everyone's behavior is like really incongruous with like.
What's
I
an
mean,
example?
But you also have to think about it. They're getting ready for war. You're not going to be in character when you're going again when everyone's life is at stake. You know what I mean?
That's fair enough.
The whole like humanity is at stake. So
I thought that
you can't
episode,
really
I thought that episode was
be the
very
same.
important because at this point we haven't had Game of Thrones in like over 2 years,
yeah.
and so it was important for them to give us an episode where we spent time just with the characters.
I agree with
think-
that statement. However, I do feel that the execution could have been stronger.
I think the dialogue here, yeah, I agree. The execution was not that good because the
Mhm.
dialogue wasn't good. I was waiting for like people to say some really like cool dialogue that I expect with Game of Thrones at this point, with Tyrion especially and the rest of them. But Tyrion, the whole time he's just like kind of like
Depressed.
he runs up like Paul Rudd, where it's
Yeah.
like, look at us. Like it's like who would have thought? But it's like I don't know, like say something important, say something special. But it's like the whole time he's just like they're all reminiscing about
or maybe
the
game
good
plan.
times, and it's just I don't know. That wasn't satisfying for me. I know for a lot of other people, they were like, "Oh my god, everyone's interacting. It's like the Avengers." Except
Yeah,
like no,
that's
I
how
didn't.
felt.
I didn't think it was.
I felt like it was great to finally have these people all together.
Except I didn't like their interactions.
Yeah, I'm glad that they all got together, but I felt like their interactions were weak. At least
Mm.
with
Yeah.
Arya and the Hound, they had so much history, and that's all they
Oh,
had.
I mean, but it
that's
makes
a big one.
sense.
That one was whack.
it
And
makes sense.
Brienne
They're not
and
gonna be
Jamie.
like lovey-dovey with each other because that's not who they are.
I get that, but still, it's like at least talk about what happened.
Why?
Wouldn't they
They're
be
not gonna
curious?
Talk about. They don't need to.
I
talk
actually
about
like their
anything.
Okay.
interaction.
Yeah.
Think about Jon and his conversations with Sansa. Well, Bran already knew Sansa and Arya. We didn't even get That it wasn't in that episode.
I
but we
think
didn't even-
I think that was a result of them rushing through things.
But also,
Yeah.
if you think about it, Jon has not seen Sansa and Arya in so long. And I mean, they did reconnect, I think, the previous season.
But that goes back to
still.
like my only complaints about the season was that it was rushing, and then also I didn't necessarily agree with Bran on the throne.
I
Yeah,
didn't like
there
the
was-
ending.
There was a lot of lapses in logic too. I mean, they had like a war come upon them, and then there was like so much going on, and then there was also the other storyline of Daenerys and Jon that they kind of shoehorned in there, I felt, and it kind of created like an extra layer of problems, and there was like lapses in logic where Jon was like telling everyone what was going on, where it was better to just like, I think, wait and like chill on stuff like that until
You mean like
the more
revealing
pressing
who he is?
yeah, revealing who he is, who she is.
and we didn't even get a reaction from
I
Yeah.
think
Sansa. or
I
Arya.
think for me, at least, the main thing that was wrong for this season was all the other previous seasons, they built up like Daenerys was gonna be like this great queen, this great sort of like ruler, and then all of a sudden, season 8, it kind of switched up after,
4 episodes.
yeah,
Five-
after
like 5
yeah,
episodes.
after
Yeah.
8 died, and
No,
all of a sudden
3
she's
episodes.
like
No.
she's like crazy.
No,
she's
no.
like mad.
No, they've been building that up for seasons.
I know
They've been building
said
that up for
it.
seasons, and anybody who says that she all of a sudden turned
No.
bad has not been paying attention.
No, I've
Okay.
watched this multiple
No,
times.
no. Let me tell you. So even back when she's in Marine and she's killing the slave.
Okay, you know what? To that point,
just it starts there.
yeah, where they're
And
like
then
Mercy is like
every time she
pee
just
or
kind of
something.
ups it. She
I
keeps
think-
upping it.
No, I think morally, she's never looked evil to me until that season. She's
Yeah.
always
She
been,
might not
look,
have looked evil to you, but the fact is that she's just been building up.
no,
over all
she's
of
been
these
morally
seasons.
ambiguous. She's had to make
That's
really
the thing. You have to go
she's-
through moral
she's
ambiguity
been
first before you
making
get to
really
complete
hard
evil.
decisions to be taken seriously in that landscape. But she never killed
But that was her
innocent
excuse.
people. The
That was-
slave owners weren't innocent.
No, but that's the whole thing, and that's I think the beauty of the turn at the end is like, who are you to decide who is innocent and who's guilty?
there was no
like-
beauty in that.
I, I understand what you're.
No,
I
but that's the
understand the
thing.
move.
Who are you to like as Daenerys? She's like, I'm the one who's going to break the wheel. I'm the one who's going to lead these people, and it's me. Like it's my destiny. But it's like at the end of the day, who are you to like? What is your moral standing that you can decide who's right and who's wrong and who's worthy of death? And that all along we've been agreeing as an audience. Okay, yeah, those people they deserve to die. Those people deserve to die. And the show has kind of built itself up around that, where there's not really like a clear-cut bad guy, clear-cut good guy. But then at the
but
very
we've always
end,
agreed with her.
we've agreed with her for the most part on her journey. But then at the very end, she does this final thing. It's like, okay, now you stopped agreeing with her. Why? She's the same person. It's just been a buildup of the character that we've seen all along through these seasons. But now we don't agree with this action.
Yeah,
I don't
this
think
this
she is the same person.
I think this goes back to what back to the whole idea of execution. Because again, I understand the purpose behind the move. Like the move wise, I get it, it's genius,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
But the way it was executed again was just like
I
she just
think-
became a one dimensional, or not even one dimensional. Just became a tyrant out of nowhere. Which I know the argument it's rushed, but at the same time that still just kills it for us. That's just the key right there.
I didn't.
I feel like it killed it.
I
Like,
felt like it didn't kill it for me because I saw it coming. Like the moment she killed the Tarleys, I was like, okay, she's gone. She's done. Like I don't like that was a couple seasons back,
Mhm.
and I was like,
I think that was one season.
Where they
back.
wouldn't bend the
one
knee,
season
right?
back. Yeah, when they
one
wouldn't bend the
season.
knee, and so I was like, okay, I'm like she's done as far as I'm concerned. Like she's no longer the.
I think that was like
honorable-
such a small act, though. Like it was on such a small
no,
scale.
No, it was important.
But it's one person compared to
It was
thousands.
two people. She killed
I
a
know.
father with his
Okay,
son.
two people. Okay,
Yeah.
how
It's
can you
like-
argue
No, but
two
here's
people
the thing.
versus thousands?
Here's the thing. She still had a justification.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She had a justification for herself. But then like her justification, like why is it that we as an audience member are siding with her own justification as opposed to anybody else in the show?
I get that, but this goes back to how, like I said, with the final season, we didn't really understand her justification. It just came off again
Yeah,
with the
she-
whole burning with the.
Because
like,
if you think
she
about it,
had
they
none.
sounded
We
the
didn't
bell.
really show
They
it.
surrendered.
and then she just randomly did it. Like we
She
didn't
made-
see her be like, oh, this is why she wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And with the Tarleys, they didn't surrender. They chose not to bend the knee. but all the other people chose to surrender. They're like, we lost.
Yeah, they threw their weapons aside.
Literally.
They
So I
rang the
didn't understand her
bells.
justification there.
There's no justification.
There was no, we couldn't understand it. We couldn't empathize with it.
Because
Because
I
we
mean,
always
the
empathize
Tarleys,
with her justifications regardless on the previous stuff.
the Tarleys were
Regardless
also
if it was
fighting.
right or wrong.
They were fighting against her.
Okay, I get your point, but I think that the way that I see it, it's the justification for her in that moment. They have been doing this whole thing where the Targaryens, there's like this psychotic thing that is genetic to them because of all the inbreeding and stuff like that. And so they have like the gods flip a coin whenever a Targaryen is born.
I didn't like that at all. I didn't
What do you
buy that,
mean?
man. Because like,
That's season 1.
Well, she said she wanted to break the wheel. That's what was, I thought, building up. Like, oh, she's going to be a good one. And it's like they used our belief in her to like subvert us.
I think it
and
was
be
very
like,
disappointing.
Oh, now,
yeah.
now she's a tyrant, even though she's been building up
Well,
over
okay,
seasons and seasons to prove.
Okay, but the thing is, like, we've had so much emotional attachment to Daenerys, to Jon, whatever it is, but all these people that we had emotional attachment for weren't gonna be the one to rule. And all of a sudden, Bran, who was like absent for like 1 or 2 seasons or doing like whatever he was that didn't really have, in my opinion, like a really big role to play until the end, all of a sudden becomes like the ruler, which was like something that I don't think anybody expected, and none of us had like put in like any emotionality to it for the past 8 seasons.
yeah,
You know what I
We
mean?
didn't
story was
want
the
that to
weakest.
be-
Wait, okay.
Yeah.
So we're kind of jumping around a little bit. The initial thing with her being like
Crazy.
susceptible to
Yeah.
the psychosis.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
here's the thing. Like,
and her family.
they thought that they said that about season 1, right?
Yes.
They said that in season 1, but they also said that about Rhaegar, and we clearly knew that was wrong. Rhaegar did it out of love.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's sort of like a saying, but it doesn't necessarily hold truth to every Targaryen. So
No, I mean it doesn't, but I think that it for sure holds truth with Daenerys.
And like,
It held truth with her brother. I think in a certain sense, Viserion.
he wasn't crazy. He was just very selfish and like childish.
I mean, he
Viserys
was like
was-
feeling up on his sister.
I can argue that he was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Viserys was spoiled. I agree with you.
yeah, I don't think he was crazy.
I don't think because like
insane.
he was definitely like humbled. He wasn't as like he was power hungry, but like
Hungry.
he was hungry. But I mean, he was never a threat, and he wasn't crazy.
I think he was more so like caught up on the ideal that he would be king, and that kind of turned
Yeah.
him like psychotic, in
I
my
don't think-
opinion.
I think a lot of other characters are more psychotic or mad than he
Yeah.
was. I thought
Okay.
he was very tame compared to a lot of other psychotic
But
characters.
then that
But he
means
didn't
that we
have the
should have been
power
on the
to be
lookout for a
crazy.
crazy Targaryen.
Yeah, but the thing is,
At this point.
what instigated that? Like, sure, I feel like she was completely fine in episode 1 and 2, and then all
Of
of
the
a sudden,
season.
Like
yeah,
it just peaked.
Yeah.
all
really-
of a
that's
sudden,
really high.
3,
That's-
4, 3, 4, 5. That's when that was all we got for her going insane.
She
Yeah.
felt I know what happened, and this is like unfortunate that like I said, there was some like lapses in logic when Jon Snow had to kind of be cold to her and like admit to everyone like who he was and what was going on with him and her. And I don't know, that kind of sucked because that was like her like feeling like, oh, I have no one on my side. Now I'm gonna go evil. Because she's like obviously she was surrounded by a lot of yes-anders and like
because Miss
loyal,
Sunday got killed.
yeah, loyal
too.
people. And then
Man,
and
Grey
then-
Worm was still there.
Yeah, no. So she
Grey Worm's just a
Dario-
soldier.
Dario was back.
Grey Worm
Yeah.
sucked too. He turned evil. I didn't care about Grey Worm at the end, and I used to love him.
Yeah.
But and then so everyone was just they were turning into like perversions of themselves at the very end.
Yeah.
And that whole thing, and like this is another reason why season 2 this last season is bad, is like this whole thing, like we can't stop talking about it because it eclipsed what would have been another great storyline that they could have resolved was the Night King, which ended over the
Right.
course
Oh,
of like
yes.
one episode.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought it was gonna be a lot longer, but I wasn't unhappy
Oh,
about
yeah.
how it ended.
And then, surprise, surprise, subversion. Jon Snow didn't kill him. Arya did. And it's like, oh, okay,
There
why?
you go. Here's his
We-
bias.
We didn't even get a fight between them. At
Okay,
least
you have
have
an
them
obvious
fight.
bias,
You
I
don't
see.
need to fight
Bias.
if you're killing.
They were right
That's
next to each other.
true.
They could have
Yeah.
fought at least
it's
just for a
cool.
little bit.
Nah,
But they didn't give us
it.
that.
I ate it.
I mean,
up.
I like the ending, but I did wish that it would have like
yes.
the fight lasted longer.
So again, I think that if had this season been twice as long, or if they had done 2 seasons with the same stories, everything happening the same, they just like spread it out a little more, I think it would have been perfect.
Yeah.
But like getting what we got, I thought it was great. I thought it was fine.
No.
It was a
no, I mean,
great season.
on
It
your
was a great
thought of how
ending.
like Daenerys turned, crazy and how it was good, if it had been executed better, maybe I would have been like, okay,
Yeah.
like this makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense. But it was very, very like fast paced, and they skipped a lot of time frames and whatnot.
Yeah.
And it just didn't make sense to a viewer, like at a viewer standpoint.
You know what? I agree. I think like, if they made that decision, it could be interesting if they spent more time with it. But they were in a rush to like, start writing for Star Wars, and well, now it's like not
That
even
didn't
that for
happen.
Netflix.
Yeah.
It's
But-
like how we thought Jon Snow was gonna kill the Night King, but we weren't mad at it because it was like 3 episodes long. It was like the first 3 episodes.
Yeah,
And Arya ended up killing it.
they were
killing him.
banking on people's love for
Yeah.
Arya, but it's like, no, they could have made that battle into two episodes. They should have. They owed it to us, I think. And I don't know. That was just like a kind of their judgment that I don't
Yeah,
agree
but
with.
Yeah.
the thing you said earlier, Crystal, when you said that it was a perversion of all their characters, I feel like that's so true because a lot of the characters just turned a bit one-dimensional, especially
Mhm.
like Jon Snow. It just
Yeah.
felt like there were a lot of what they built up in their characters wasn't there anymore.
He just turned into a person that said, "I don't know."
All of them. I could go into like all the
You are my
characters, how they
queen.
turned one dimensional. Even the Hound. Like I thought he was
Yeah.
a very complicated character. And at the very end he's like, I just want to kill my brother and also die. And it's like, well, he was like a very complex character, I thought. And then at the end he's like, all I want to do is kill my brother. That's all I want. And it's like, you kind of made a family here with like everyone at Winterfell and with Arya, and it's like, I don't know, like they all had like a lot to live for, and like I was interested in all their stories, and at the end either they became like boring or unimportant to me, or they died, so I like didn't care at the end, and it didn't stick with me.
I think Viserys was one of the characters that stayed true to like who he was.
Who?
Viserys? Or was it Viserys? Lord of Whispers?
Oh,
Something?
Oh,
What was it?
Varric was it?
no, it was Varys.
Varys!
Okay.
Okay, I don't know where I got Viserys. But he died a sad death. And
That was the stupidest
That was
death.
that was interesting.
That was
really.
one of the
Yeah.
dumbest deaths I've ever seen.
Yeah.
That was an
They
interesting
couldn't
death.
just
That
like
was
throw him in prison for
interesting.
trying to poison Daenerys. They had to like freaking roast him alive. He could have
No,
been
but
useful.
he,
but
like-
that's not the way she
But
does
that's
things.
the thing. Like he saw the evil of Daenerys before everyone else did, and it was just like, yes, as an audience who I've already written Daenerys off at this point, and like to see somebody else recognize them, like okay, but then unfortunately he dies. But it was like,
So the moral of the story is, oh, so you just hate Daenerys. That was the whole reason.
Exactly.
No,
I knew it.
I loved Daenerys. I loved Daenerys
Don't lie
for
to
the
us.
longest
Don't
time.
lie.
I loved her for the longest time until I had to stop. I had to stop loving
Whatever.
her.
When was that?
Season 5.
Officially when she killed the Tarleys, but like I kind of was off of her after she had spent so much time like across the sea.
In Marine? Or-
Yeah, I was like
Oh.
at that point
Or
I'm
you
like
mean like
I'm not like
captured?
not captured, just like
Okay.
she was spending so much time over there, and like not going to
King's Landing?
to King's Landing. I was just like I kind of started getting bored with her story, and I kind of started getting less interested. And then when she killed the Tarleys, I was like, okay, you're done.
Oh.
I think Varys was also like a really smart character, so like I don't know, his death to me, it just seemed like a colossal like waste of a character, and like
Yeah.
that was like such a, I mean, that's a really transparent way to kill
But it was a
someone, is like
betrayal.
poison.
That's also the same,
It was
I
a
could say, for
betrayal
Jaime
from-
Lannister and Cersei. Because I didn't like their deaths either. Like,
Oh.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, Cersei kind of just lost all of her character in
lost
this
all
season.
hope. She just like turned
I
into a
know
little
everybody
crybaby.
was hoping for her to die in a very like torturous way, and she definitely did not. So
Rocks.
I
I know.
Although I am curious about the branding, because you said, for example, that if it wasn't Rush, it
Mhm.
would have been better. So what if is there a way you think they could have made Bran like work as him being the king at the end if they build it up with the mo?
Honestly, I think that's the one plot point that I
Did I
didn't
get
like.
behind?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but do you think there
But-
could have there been a way?
They could have, like, if you take enough time and if you put enough
Explain.
thought into it,
For me,
you could.
I mean,
put a
but
way-
at this
figure
point in
out
the
a way to
season,
do
like think
that.
about it, like we've been through how many seasons with him not really doing much. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah.
and then
There's just not
randomly he
enough
just
development.
becomes a king. Would it?
There's
Well, I
not
mean,
enough
he's been
development.
there from the beginning.
He is, but he hasn't been doing much in terms of.
I remember
helping.
there was one point I was watching and I'm like, what the fuck is Bran doing? Like,
Exactly.
where is he?
Yeah,
They
no.
could, with a little more time and better writing, they could have done something.
That's
could've-
what I'm saying.
They could have.
I
I know,
would-
but
I
they
don't
didn't.
think- I don't
yeah,
think-
but they didn't.
I don't think it was a good choice, in my opinion.
I would have been happier with
But-
Gendry on the throne.
Honestly, I was
You know
Team
what?
Gendry too. I when I was watching that season, I was like, I really hope Gendry's on the throne because his Baratheon blood, and then if he
Exactly.
marries
Yeah.
Arya,
Robert
that's a
Baratheon's son.
union of those two houses.
or
and
even
then
if they didn't marry, then he
No.
would have been satisfied. Like, you know,
I was low-key
Being
hoping for
king.
a Gendry Arya on the throne. That's
No,
what I was
because
thinking.
Arya's
No, she
not
would have
the
never
type.
done that.
Yeah.
and that's the
Yeah,
only thing where I was
exactly.
like, that was in character. For
I
her
know,
to
but I was
leave.
like, if at least Gendry, and then Arya gives her like a son or a daughter. to
I think-
kiss.
she's not a
Oh,
lady.
God.
She's not a lady.
I think they were maybe
She doesn't have
focusing
to
on like
be.
too much of
Yeah.
like what do the viewers, the audience not suspect, you know? And
Yeah.
I
I
think that's
agree.
what they were
They
trying
tried.
to put.
Well-
They knew they didn't have enough time
Well,
to
okay,
make a good
to be
story, so
fair-
they were like,
consider this.
"We're gonna surprise the viewers. They're
Consider
not that
this.
smart."
As far as your question about Bran, from what I understand, this is the ending that
Yeah, the
official writer
Yeah, he wanted it.
getting to.
So I
Yeah.
he's going through a different route,
yeah
but apparently Bran is going to be on the throne.
yeah that
That's
was
fine.
And the clues are there. Like if in the first book, it starts off with Bran, and Bran is the focal character as far as like the perspectives. They shift throughout the books, obviously,
Yeah.
but it starts with Bran, and so Bran being like the bookend of the series of the series of books makes sense. And if that's what the official author is working
Yeah,
wants
but
to-
towards,
here's the thing.
then there's a way to do it that would make it work.
Yeah.
True. But I don't think that they executed it well.
And that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Like,
Journey before destination, right? We got the ending. We got like, this is George R.R. Martin's ending. Sure, this is what will happen in the ending. Hopefully, when he finishes the book, it's going to be a very similar ending.
Yeah.
But the way we get there matters so much. And I feel like the way we got there for season 8 was just rushed. We lost a good amount of sense of like most of the characters that we loved. Like they didn't feel like the characters I cared about. For
I
me,
don't know. I didn't get that sense. I get that it was rushed, but I didn't get the sense that the
No,
characters felt different to me. Like
felt
it
different to
seemed.
me.
You need to rewatch the seasons.
No,
Because
I
even,
know. It
even,
seemed
seeing,
like
even seeing clips, I felt like wow, there was more nuance
The
within
smartest-
certain
yeah.
characters, and there's a
Yeah.
lack of nuance within the
the
final
smartest
season.
characters
know.
had like lapses in logic. Like even Tyrion, like his blind faith and blind loyalty to Daenerys didn't make sense to me. Because like
no,
he
but
was
it was perfect because it was the same blind faith that the audience had. Everyone who was like, "No, Daenerys wouldn't do something like this." It was like, it's the same. It was like for me, it was perfect. It just,
I don't
like,
think it was blind
to-
faith. I think that their expectations were just subverted because it's like we said, like there was no like journey. Like it wasn't well executed, the journey
Yeah.
to her like evilness. She kind of just
Yeah.
turned into
Right.
a tyrant.
Exactly.
I don't think it was well executed as far as the rushing, but like just Tyrion's whole willingness to side with Daenerys, it fit so perfectly with the general audience's like willingness to want to be on her side consistently, continuously. And so the idea that like somebody as smart as Tyrion can get swayed and not be like focused in on his logic faculties, it makes sense. Like and then he also had like an emotional like affection for Daenerys at that. So that also would contribute to him not being, fully aware and fully like reasonable and logical when dealing with her. And so
Yeah.
the idea that Tyrion was swayed, but Varys, did I say Varys? Yeah, Varys wasn't. Because Varys was a little bit more detached.
Mm.
He was more detached.
Varys was
from,
for the people,
Okay.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
And
Always
Tyrion
been
was
for the
for
people.
the like queen or the king.
Okay.
Right.
But there was times where Tyrion did try to like tell Daenerys that what she is doing is wrong.
Yeah,
And it just ended up like with him being thrown in that prison and then telling
Yeah.
Jon like you have to kill her.
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah,
He didn't do that as much. As
yeah.
last
It's
season,
it, it
so.
just it goes back to again with the execution thing that like I mean I understand the idea they're trying to go for and you really love the idea, but
Mhm.
when the execution's not right, it's like you're just kind of like okay, like
Yeah,
it's just
false
Yeah.
it doesn't feel it.
Because
know?
you could have a great story. You could have a great plot, a great storyline, whatever it may be. But then if you don't tell that story right, then there's no point in having that great story.
Yeah.
I get that. I
Yeah.
think that it's just it didn't bother me the rushing of the story as much as it bothered other people. I still appreciated all of the stuff that happened, but I get why, like for other people, they didn't like it as much because
Yeah.
of
Uh-huh.
that.
It's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's fair.
Yeah.
And that is why your opinion is unpopular.
Yeah, exactly.
But I stand by it.